In the theme of using up my stash, I've got this little wood plank that I found in my stash. And then I've got a stencil from Chalk Couture. And I'm just going to take that word home and I'm going to cut out each of the letters individually. We're going to place them in a non-traditional way onto that little planked piece of wood. So you just kind of rub it on something to get rid of the super stickiness, which I just did on my pant leg. And now I'm going to place the H, the little wreath that's for the O and the M and the E, in more of a square position. I know this used to be popular several years ago, but I've never done one. And I thought, this would look kind of cute on this little piece here. So I put them on. I tried using a paint marker first. That's why you see green there. It just didn't work. But I'm using regular paint. I'm just using the fern colored chalk paint by Waverly on that little wreath for the O. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that on. And then I will use a little scraper that comes from Chalk Couture. And I'll just kind of scrape that across to make sure it goes through the stencil. It's like a little silk screen stencil they have. Anyway, and look how pretty that comes out. I mean, I just think it looks great. Now I'm going to take some black paint. I'm going to do the same thing with the H, the M, and the E. And this time I'm putting less paint on. I am learning, even with these kind of stencils, less is better. And if you put too much, it can still bleed, believe it or not, especially because this little piece of wood has those lines that are slight, like the plank lines, they're slightly lower than the rest of the wood. So it does bleed under a little bit. So I did touch it up a teeny bit. Now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber paint. It's just a kind of a brownish paint. And I'm just going to rub it around the sides with a tissue and then across the front just to give it that distressed look. So it looks like the planks are kind of worn out. And I think it just goes together with this sign. It's, definitely the right look for it. I'm going to add a hanger back on. I didn't like the way the other one was. So I'm just going to put this one on with some hot glue and some masking tape, which is the way I like to do it to make sure it's nice and secure. And this was a longer piece. I'm not sure why I used such a long piece of twine or rope, but I did add a couple extra pieces of the masking tape just to make sure it stayed in place. Now I'm going to put a little teeny bit of greenery on that wreath just to kind of make it three-dimensional. It's got these little baby white flowers on it, and I just like the way it looks. So I'm just going to put a little bit like down in the center towards the bottom. I'll put a little bit facing to the left and a little bit facing to the right, almost like a little bit of a swag that touches that circle. And then I'm going to add a little baby white flower right in the center. And that's it. I think this is just the cutest, sweetest little sign. Very easy to make. I think it just came together great and it would look nice in anyone's home. Let me know what you think. And everything I used came from my stash.